So, new podcast in the description. I did a Twitter Q&A at like midnight, so that's a thing. And then I talked about the new Call of Duty and why I like it a lot. This Jimmy Butler trade has a lot of stuff to it, and we're now going to talk about Markelle Fultz. Trust me when I tell you, eventually I will make a video from the T-Wolves perspective of all this, as in tomorrow. But today is all Philly. So, Markelle Fultz, his situation, you know what it is. I don't need to explain it to you. So, would you trade Markelle Fultz, now that you have Jimmy Butler, to go all in on winning right now? Okay? The pros of doing this are you could win right now. The cons being Markelle's ceiling is still there. I mean, his skills are still pretty legit in terms of going off the bounce and playing in the pick and roll and finishing, and his wingspan is there, and he's a good athlete, and he's a great ball handler. But of course, if the jumper isn't there, then his stock as a player, it drops down quite a bit, right? And I think if we can go to the cons side, why would you not do this besides if he could just end up being what he is hoped to be by a lot of people, and you wouldn't have him and then you would look kind of silly, is sometimes NBA franchises don't want to admit when they messed up, and these guys traded a first, and the Celtics could end up getting that first. They probably will, looking at how the Kings are doing right now. And of course, Jason Tatum has been way better than Markelle Fultz, but if you're Philly and you've got an opportunity to admit you were wrong, but get someone who can help you right now and go all in with this Jimmy Butler thing, then perhaps you just do it anyway, right? But I do think you still have to take a long, hard look at Markelle's potential, and you do have to be confident that, okay, maybe he will get back to what people thought he would be, but it's going to be quite a few seasons. Maybe there's a chance he actually doesn't get back to it, whatever it may be. I don't know who you talk to in this situation because, well, this hasn't happened that often, but do whatever you got to do to really think about where Markelle is going to be. And if you get to the point where you do decide, all right, this dude, we could keep on going with this whole thing where we play him and then we try to see if he can shoot and he'll make 1 3-pointer a week and everybody will go crazy and Reggie Miller will act like his problems are fixed. Or we could just rid ourselves of this right now and get a dude who can knock down threes consistently, right? Well, you look around the NBA, you think about what teams would be willing to take on Markelle. Well, it would probably have to be a team that is not good, one that is already years away, so you might as well take on a dude who, if he can get back to what he was in college, well, then that's a hell of a player. So you look at teams like the Knicks. I mean, I know they got a lot of point guards, but if Markelle can be Markelle, then he's better than all those guys. You look at the Orlando Magic, who have been desperate for a point guard. And I don't think you should rule out really any team that's bad. Sure, it might be an awkward fit if, like, the Cavs were to trade for him because they already have Colin Sexton, but when you're 1-10 and you can get a guy who could be as good as Fultz, if Philly was, of course, down to do this, then, yeah, I think teams would definitely consider it. Anyway, I want to go to the Magic because, well, they have Evan Fournier, and I think Fournier could be actually pretty big for the Sixers, and Fournier is making $17 million. And one thing you got going if you're Philly is that you have Jared Bayless's $8.5 million for 1 season. So you can bump up the money to where it basically would match between Bayless and Fultz. And I don't know if the Magic would also want a first-round pick or a protected pick or some seconds or maybe one of your young dudes like Shamet or whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of confident you wouldn't have to give up an unprotected first just because of how good Fultz could still be, and then Orlando gets a guy who could maybe be a star, and they've been, desperately needing something like that. Now, would the shooting be pretty ugly on that team? Yes, it would, but that's not the point. The point is, like, Orlando talking themselves into this being something, right? And with Philly, you're guaranteeing yourself a knockdown shooter, a A guy who can make some plays, but he also can shoot about 5 to 7 3-pointers a game. And then your closing lineups could be Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, Evan Fournier, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid. That's pretty damn good if you ask me. But perhaps there is a chance that maybe like Landry Shamet or Wilson Chandler, or maybe even Mike Muscala could end up being that guy that the Sixers need. And if that's the case, you could probably just keep Fultz at that point, you know? Like if one of those dudes are effectively going to be that really good fifth guy for you in, you know, big game situations and all that, then I mean, you know, why not just hold on to Fultz and keep on doing that thing and pull him the moment the pressure of the game gets a little too big? I guess that could be a best case scenario. Now, if someone like Bradley Beal became available, then I think you start having a little bit more of an interesting conversation. I mean, I don't know if he would, but I don't know, some other star player potentially becoming available, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think I probably end up on the side of give the dudes you have a chance. Give Markelle a chance to play with Jimmy and whoever else. And if both of those things end up being a negative, then you can start looking around and seeing if you are done with the Markelle Fultz experiment and you just want to win, you know? Because, I mean, like, you got 3 great players now, 2 of them who have not hit their ceilings, so you don't really have to deal with this Markelle thing anymore, really. But there could be a reason to keep on keeping on with it. So that's it. Once again, new podcast, Twitter Q&A, and I'm done.